Is life suddenly throwing curveballs you never anticipated, leaving you questioning God's hand in your circumstances? What if these unexpected trials aren't random attacks, but rather precise tests designed to reveal the true strength and depth of your faith? Don't recoil in fear. Instead, consider these urgent signs that God might be intentionally testing you, refining you for a greater purpose. The first unmistakable sign is a persistent stirring within your spirit, a gentle yet insistent prompting to step outside your comfort zone, to embrace a challenge that feels disproportionate to your current abilities. Think of Abraham being called to sacrifice Isaac in Genesis 22:2. A command that must have felt utterly contradictory to God's previous promises. This isn't about God tempting you towards sin, as James 1:13 clarifies, but rather an invitation to stretch your faith muscles, to discover reserves of strength and reliance you never knew you possessed. You might find yourself drawn to a ministry opportunity that intimidates you, or facing a financial pressure that forces you to depend solely on divine provision. This inner nudge, often accompanied by a sense of both unease and compelling purpose, isn't a fleeting whim. It's a persistent whisper urging you towards growth through dependence. Are you feeling that unsettling yet undeniable pull towards something bigger, something that requires you to lean entirely on God? That discomfort might just be the initial pressure of a divine test, preparing you for a promotion you can't yet fathom. Embrace the unease. It could be the very catalyst for your spiritual breakthrough. Another critical indicator that you're in a season of testing is the stripping away of your familiar supports and crutches. Have you noticed key relationships shifting, perhaps even experiencing unexpected loss or distance from those you relied on? Are financial safety nets suddenly feeling frayed, or are opportunities you once took for granted now vanishing? This isn't necessarily a sign of God's displeasure, but rather a strategic dismantling of your dependence on earthly anchors, compelling you to anchor yourself more firmly in Him. Consider the trials of Job, the loss of his wealth, his children, his health, all designed to test the unwavering nature of his faith in God alone. Job 1:20-22. When God begins to remove the things you've placed your security in, it's often to reveal where your true trust lies. Is your peace shaken when earthly comforts are threatened? Do you find yourself panicking when human support falters? These reactions highlight areas where your dependence needs to shift from the temporal to the eternal. This stripping away can feel intensely vulnerable, even terrifying, but it's in this very vulnerability that true faith is forged. It's in the absence of your usual supports that you learn to truly lean on the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy 33:27. Don't mistake this season of loss for abandonment. It's often a deliberate act of divine pruning, removing what hinders your growth and forcing you to cling to the vine. John 15:5. Finally, pay close attention to a recurring theme of spiritual warfare intensifying in your life. Are you facing an unusual barrage of negative thoughts, doubts about your faith, or temptations that feel particularly potent? Is there a sudden increase in relational conflict or spiritual opposition as you seek to step out in faith? These intensified attacks can be a clear sign that you are on the verge of a significant breakthrough, and the enemy is desperately trying to derail God's plan for your life. Think of Jesus' temptation in the wilderness immediately after his baptism and before launching his public ministry, Matthew 4:1-11. The enemy often intensifies his efforts when God is about to do something extraordinary through you. These battles aren't meant to crush you, but to reveal your reliance on God's strength and the power of His Word. Are you actively putting on the full armor of God as described in Ephesians 6:10-18 to withstand these assaults? Are you recognizing these attacks not as random occurrences, but as targeted opposition to your spiritual progress? This heightened spiritual conflict, while often distressing, is a powerful indicator that you are being tested for a greater purpose. It signifies that you are a threat to the enemy's kingdom and that God is preparing you for victory. Don't be discouraged by the intensity of the battle. Instead, recognize it as a sign that you are on the right path and press in even more to prayer and the Word. These three signs, a persistent inner prompting towards challenging growth, the stripping away of familiar supports, and an intensification of spiritual warfare, are not always comfortable, but they are often telltale indicators that God is testing you, not to break you, but to make you stronger, more dependent on Him, and ultimately more aligned with His perfect will. Embrace these seasons with courage and unwavering faith, knowing that on the other side of the test lies a deeper intimacy with God and the unveiling of His greater purpose for your life. Don't shrink back in fear. Instead, lean in with anticipation, for the testing of your faith produces perseverance, James 1:3, and perseverance leads to an unshakable hope. Trust the process. God is not trying to trick you or harm you. He is refining you, preparing you for the very blessings you have been praying for. Let these urgent signs be a source of encouragement, a reminder that you are not forgotten, but actively being shaped for His glory.